What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be mounting a body on my drag car. We're going with the 84 Camaro. Look at all that goodness there. Makes me want to grow my mullet back from the 80s. So I got some tips on how to cut it out. A couple things I've done in the past which I've failed at, and a couple of good tips to help you guys not make the same mistakes I have in the past. Alright, so the tools that you'll need for this is a ruler or a measuring device of some sort. I like to use my ruler. I have mine in centimeters. It has a little millimeter increments, which is great for accuracy. The other tool I have is a body reamer. Now, I've used drill bits in the past with my drill. I've ran into a lot of problems. Sometimes you slip with the drill bit doesn't go through right, or you catch an edge and it rips like a big hole in the body. Not fun. So don't be cheap. You can get one of these bad boys. You can get a cheap one, it doesn't really matter. Cheaper one might wear out a little bit quicker. I've had this one here for quite a few years and it's not that expensive. Has a cool cover on it, which I think helps longevity of this tool. You know, if you don't have that protection, you throw it in your toolbox, it's gonna get beat up. The other tool I like to have is body scissors. These are key. I've tried a Dremel with a cutoff wheel. I've tried some other scissors. You know, they're not that expensive, and they're definitely the handy tool for cutting out the body. Now these ones here, they've got a curved edge to them. Now what that's going to do is going to let your hand get in there, and you can trim up the body. If you have straight scissors, it's a lot more difficult. The body pieces get in the way. It's not going to work out well for you. So spend a few bucks, get yourself a pair of body scissors. The last tool I like to use is a drum sander. I've got mine mounted to my Dremel. You don't need it spinning very fast, but this is going to clean up all the edges that you cut and also help you make a nice round spot for your wheel well. So if you cut out with scissors and you can't quite get in there, it's a little bit back and forthy, not so roundy, you got this tool here, and that's going to help you clean up the edges, make them nice and smooth, helps with the edges ripping. Definitely, it's a must in everybody's toolkit. This one here is a PROTOform one, which I like. You get replacement drums, and it's awesome. It's the right size for everything. Love it. Can't do it without it. So those are tools that I'll be using. Let's get this underway. Now with that edge taken off, as you can clearly see, I've gone all the way around. I've removed the rear wing. You can actually get close to that cut line. A lot of times you can't tell where the cut line is, so you can go ahead and take a Sharpie marker and you actually trace around that cutting edge where you want to cut. You can go all the way around the body, and then that helps you see it a lot better. Now when you cut this out, you want to stick away from that line. You want to get close to it. That way you can get a nice final trim on it. You want to make sure that you can get your scissors in there and hold that nice line. Sometimes with the material and how it bows out, sometimes around the wheel wells it bows out, around the body corners it bows out. It's going to give you some trouble actually cutting that line. So instead of just going right for that cutting line right away, take a step back, trim close to that line, and then go back for a final cut. And even when you do the final cut, you want to leave just a little bit, like half a millimeter to a millimeter, and you want to sand that down anyways. So get close as you can to that line, leave a little bit, sand it down, and that's really going to help you going forward with your bodies. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace it all out, get cutting. So here we are. We've got the rough cut done. You still see the body line. I left the wheel wells in. A lot of times the body might not match 100% up to what your car is. So it's good to double check to see how it fits first before you do that final cut and before you knock out those wheel wells. Because sometimes you can go too big or too small or too far forward, too far back. So let's make sure that, if it's the car, if you got just wheelbase on the car, you can on a lot of models. But some cars you can't. So then you have to adjust the body to fit the car, not the car to fit the body. This all depends on what kind of car you've got and how adjustable it is. Let's do that up next. Alright, so let's try this body out, see how it fits. Let's match up those wheel wells. You can see in the back part, there, and here, in the front, it's here, and right there. So, I think this was going to work out pretty good. Wheel wells in the right spot. Don't have to slightly cut the wheel well forward or back. So I think we're good to proceed with this and hopefully get to do some painting here really quick. Okay, here we are. As you can see, there's still some Lexan on the other side of the cut line. We're just going to leave that on there for now until after we paint. And then we come back with our sander and we're going to sand those edges down. I find with the paint on, it helps you see the body lines even more. So what we're going to do next, we're going to mount this puppy up. I'm going to show you how I do mine. Got a few tips here. Alright, for the next step, you're going to want to have your car turned on. That way you know where the steering's going to be straight. You're going to want to line up the holes on the side for the wheel wells. Then on top, you want to center it as best as you can. So now, I'll take my handy dandy Sharpie. I'll put a little dot right where I think we're going to need some holes. And now, I'll take the body off, and we're actually going to measure. So I like to measure down here, whichever you want. You want metric or standard, you go ahead and measure what you want. I measure center to center, center to center on the back, and then I find a center mark on the car, and I'll take that distance, divide it by 2, and I'll take my handy dandy Sharpie again, a little mark, and what you want to do, you're going to want to measure from the windshield down, so it's the same on both sides, and then you want to go right here, make sure it's even from here. So now, I've done some measuring, and I made some cross hatches right where I want to line up. I double checked it all before I put a hole in it. Make sure that the wheel wells are still sitting nice, front and rear. Everything looks good where it is. So now it's time to put a hole in there. I'm going to be using my body reamer. A lot of times people try to use drill bits and such, and it just doesn't work out quite right. So, having a body reamer, it's going to give you that nice little fine point, nice little tip there, and that's going to help you punch that hole right in the center of where you want it to be. I recommend doing a small hole first, making sure that it still lines up where you need it to be, and then you can either push the hole whichever way it's got to go by pushing sideways as you drill, but just gently. Most of the times if you did the proper math and proper measurements, you don't need to do that. So we're gonna punch some holes in it, and hopefully everything turns out good and we'll be ready to paint. Alright, so here we go. I've got the hardware for my body. They have M3 screws, M4 nuts, but they are just regular nuts. Now, these not being Teflon, they will come loose on you. So either you gotta be on it and tighten them up all the time, because they're gonna rattle loose. These are gonna hold on my rear wing. So I'm gonna have to swap these little nuts out for Teflon nuts. And that way they'll lock on there, they won't come loose. So hopefully you have some in your kit. If not, they're always a good thing to have on hand is the M3 Teflon nuts. The other thing I noticed when I opened up my cool little packet of Proline stuff is my window masks. My window masks are folded in half. Don't know if you can see it there, but it's right in the middle of my windshield and my rear glass as well. So that big crease in the middle is going to make it a lot more trickier to put these on. I really wish they would have laid them flat like they usually do. The last, I don't know how many cars I've done, even my Corvette had them laid flat, and that's going to make it really tricky. So hopefully, Proline, if you're listening, fix this up, and Teflon nuts would be amazing if you get those on there. Because I even noticed with my touring cars, they do come loose. So yeah, just overall not fun.
Much later.
So here we are. Got the body all painted up, all nice. Now it's time to come back and do what I was talking about earlier with the sanders to get these lines all fixed up. As you can see on this wheel well here, you can see the line where we gotta sand it to. And by sanding, it's gonna, clean up those edges, make sure it doesn't rip on you. So I like to use my Dremel over here. And I've got the rounded tool on here from Proline. They make a couple of products for doing your bodies up, and what it is a fine sandpaper on a little drum. So this here is going to clean up those edges really nice and keep it from ripping. So this body's going to last a lot longer if you just cut it with the scissors or cut it with anything else. You want to make sure we clean up the edges and get a lot more life out of this body. Like, it can last a lot more than just a couple races if you take care of everything. So I'm going to do that next, and I'll show you guys the after. Alright, we did the sanding around the wheel wells. The round drum really gives you a chance to really shape out these arches nice and smooth. Sometimes you get a little bit of plastic left behind, hanging off the sides. So all you gotta do, you just gotta take your razor blade and just scrape along beside of it on an angle towards the outside edge, and that'll just come right off like nothing. So just take a couple minutes just to, give a little scrape with the razor blade, and it'll be all finished, ready to go. Body's gonna last a lot longer. So get all the value you can out of your bodies by doing the proper trim process and the proper sanding, and you should be good to go. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.